Hello, my friends. Welcome to my channel if you are new here, and welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. My name is Brittany. On this channel, I share my stupid opinions about the books I've been reading. Let's talk about what I read in February, shall we? Starting with a book that I DNF'd because we have to include that. I picked up Salt by L.A. Farrow, and this one is an age gap romance. And while there is nothing inherently wrong with age gap romance, what there is something that I take issue with is the fact that I don't need to know every goddamn thought that crosses through a man's head. And that is the downfall of this book, in my opinion. I made it 111 pages, which is 25% of the book, before I just threw the towel in and was like, you know what? This is awful. I hate everyone. We're done. The plot is essentially that the female main character meets this man when she's 8 years old, and he is her dad's best friend. And then her parents at age 17, when she's 17, they die unexpectedly in like a car accident. And so dad's best friend and his wife take her in and they kind of raise her from that point up until now when she's 23. And our girl has been thirsting after this man since she was 17. No problem, right? There was like a weird someone's after her plot line as well. I didn't make it that far, but that's what was happening when I was like, I just can't take this book anymore. It's called Salt because that's the female main character's last name. Anyway, I hated it. I just couldn't carry on, DNF'd it very quickly. And then let's talk about books that I did have a good time with. Actually, no, let's talk about another book that I didn't have a good time with. If you've been watching my short form content, you will know that I really did not like Not in Love by Allie Hazelwood. Now, I know that Allie is like a book talk darling, she's a booktube darling, and I love that. Up until this point, I had only read one book by Allie, and that's Bride. And yes, I am so fucking excited for Mates to come out in October. I literally can't wait. Of paranormal romance, and I think that that's what I would have to stick with when it comes to Allie. I don't know what it was specifically about this book. I think that it's that I felt the characters lacked a lot of depth, and you can't build a relationship entirely off of if there's no emotional capacity of one character to feel that intimacy, I guess. And that's just how I felt. My opinion, my stupid opinion is that this was not her strongest. I'm so happy if you love it. It's not for me. Sorry if you hear my son with his bad attitude. He's angry at his brother. So besides the DNF, Not in Love was my lowest rated book in February with 2.5 stars. The writing was fine. There was nothing inherently wrong with like the writing. I just did not like the characters. And I'm allowed to not like a book because I didn't like the characters. Okay. That's what makes the book. The next lowest rated book that I read was called The Temporary Roomie by Sarah Adams, Pregnancy Trope. We are, like I said in my last video, on a pregnancy trope kick. So sue me, okay? The Temporary Roomie is about a woman who becomes pregnant by her boyfriend, and then she tells him that she's pregnant, and he bails. Something happens in her house. She needs a place to stay. Her best friend is like, "You can just go stay with my brother. His roommate just moved out. You can live there for free because he's a doctor, and he doesn't need your money." And so she goes and lives with this man who is like her enemy for some stupid fucking reason. I hated it. Whatever the reason was, it was stupid. It was fine. Don't think that it's Sarah Adams' strongest piece of work. I personally do love Sarah Adams' books, but this one's not it. Gave it 3.25 stars. Again, the female main character just grated on me, and if I don't like a character, I just have a hard time enjoying anything else about the book. A Season of Light by Julie Iromwanya. I think that's how you say her last name. I'm so sorry if it's not. It was a literary fiction. I don't read a ton of lit fic these days because I'm just trying to have fun when I read. Did want to make a conscious effort to read a book by a Black author during Black History Month, and this one was a Book of the Month selection. It was a weird time. It's about a man who loses his sister as a prisoner of war during the Nigerian Civil War. and he has a lot of PTSD about that. He has since immigrated to and has a family of his own. Suddenly, these girls go missing in Nigeria. It's like hundreds of them, like almost 300. They go missing in Nigeria, and that causes him to have a trigger with his PTSD, and he ends up locking his daughter in her room and refuses to let her out for anything. It was very strange. I listened to it, and that's all well and good. It was interesting in the sense that there were multiple POVs being told, and the voice actors switched for each POV, but there was a weird plot line with the mom going to this church, and there was a pastor there, and he was very, very like, and a lot of times I will block out things when it comes to religion. I have religious trauma. Forgive me. Um, it just was not something that I think that I would recommend. It was a 3.5 star read for me. The writing was excellent. The plot was weird. I also picked up a fantasy book. I don't read a lot of fantasy on this channel. I am a romance and thriller girly, and as far as this year goes, I am strictly deep in the weeds with romance. I picked up The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. And this one is about a seer, or, well, she doesn't refer to herself as a seer. She calls herself a teller of small fortunes. Big fortunes have big consequences, so she only tells you the little ones. It was a very easy read, but one thing about the plot in this is that even the things that were high stakes felt low stakes. I really enjoyed the writing. This was like a standout category for me. The book was a 3.75 star read for me overall. And I do think that I would pick up something else from Julie Leong in the future. I just need you to up the stakes a little bit. For the Smut Club on Fable, which is the book club that Kelly and I run together, we read Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. This was something. I call it a beginner's dark romance because it's goofy. There's not really a lot of in this, aside from the fact that the male main character is a little bit of a creep and stalks the female main character. It was a really fun time. Our episode for this will be coming out really soon. It's a 4 star read for me. We're moving on to Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage, book 2 in the Rebel Blue Ranch books series. I was obsessed with Wes. I love Luke Brooks, okay? Luke Brooks is the male main character in Done and Dusted. But Wes Ryder, my God, I am obsessed with that man. I love this series so much. So, so much. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. I really recommend if you are into cowboy romance that you read the Rebel Blue Ranch book series. So far, both books have been a hit, and I'm really excited to read the third one. And then I read for my book club, which we haven't met since October. Ladies, are we still doing this? My friend Akita picked A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. This book made me so angry. It was such a roller coaster. Genuinely, I've never been on more of a roller coaster ride than reading A Love Letter to Whiskey. I've never met two characters who are so toxic to each other, but at the end of the day, you still root for them, like I did in this book. Do I recommend that you read it? Only if you want to throw your book across the room. Hmm. Because you'll feel like that until the very end. And even the end, I was like, bro, what the fuck? I was so mad. 4.25 stars. It was a good one. I read another Sarah Adams book this month. No, Beg, Borrow, or Steal came out this year. I think it came out in January. It is book number in the One in Rome series. This one's a little bit spicier than the other two books in this series. We are following, not Maddie, oh my God, Emily. Emily Walker, so the third Walker sibling, and her love interest is Jackson. And this is a little bit of an enemies to lovers arc. Ate this shit up, laughed out loud, talked to myself while reading. I just feel like she really, really has nailed down the small town aspect of romance when it comes to this series. And I genuinely can't wait for the last book to come out. Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Again, we are deep in the pregnancy trope like era of my life. Sorry about it. Sue me if you will. Don't really. I don't, please. I don't know if I'll have my job tomorrow. Anyway, Out on a Limb is about a woman who falls pregnant after a one night stand. And the way that this book had me sobbing in my kitchen as I was trying to finish reading it and cook dinner at the same time, I didn't realize that I feel things so deeply. Love this book. Love this book. You should read it. You should. I don't want to give too much away. I was obsessed. It is Oh my God, it was so good. Yeah, and that's it. That was a 5-star read for me. I kind of lost track of telling you everything. Beg, Borrow, or Steal was 4.75 star. Out on a Limb, 5 stars. That was my number one book in February. Did actually finish a book yesterday, which was March 1st, so it's going into my March recap, but it's called Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. I enjoyed Deanna Gray. This one was a sapphic romance, but it's too much. You'll hear about it in my March recap. But yeah, that's it. That's everything that I read in February. Thank you so much for being here. Leave me a like if you liked the video. Leave me a comment letting me know what your favorite book was in February. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel. It is free for you. It is fun for me, and I will see you so soon with another video. Bye.